All right. Well, welcome you guys. Thank you for joining me on this Monday's Q&A. Um, Pretty excited I'm here, actually. Uh, we've had a lot of good things going on over the last couple weeks. Sorry, I'm standing up. My thing doesn't auto adjust. And anyway, I'll back off your face in just 1 minute. Give me a sec. There we go. All right. Um, so lots and lots going on. I'm gonna pretty quickly go into the Q&A. Real quick, just as an update for people, we posted a new living in the private diagram to our home screen. It's more updated. So just go to hisadvocates.org, scroll down to the middle section, maybe a little further, and you're going to find our diagram. Just click on it, open it up. It's in a PDF format. You got to be logged in to do it, so obviously got to be a member. The element of the diagram, really not a lot has changed. Just some of the things that we realized are over the top, exuberant. Uh, we're still dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. It's just it can go a lot quicker. And one of the things I wanted to explain, everybody asks how long is living in the private process, and there's one document that takes forever, and it's getting certified copies of the passport out. I've seen some people take up to 2 years. And so a few years ago, because we knew this, we just haven't announced it. We have a self-certification. So under the pains and penalties of perjury, you're self-certifying that this is a true and correct original copy of the application as it was sent to the Department of State. So we use that and get your, so like when you're doing your IRS, SSA, voters, DMV, those things, you can remove the element of having to put these certified copies of the passport app on there, and we can just do a self-certify on there and just remove it completely. There's really not a need to have that accomplished. The revocation of election or contracting with them, although meaning newly contracting with them through an administrative process or a default system where we do the three letters: notice letter, notice of fault, opportunity to cure, notice of default, to all the agencies. Those letters are working collectively together in conjunction to unwind that portion of what's been binding you to the federal government. So you have the passport process, which is you becoming a state citizen. You go to the Department of State and you're saying, look, I figured it out. I realize I'm not a United States citizen. I'm a citizen of the United States of America and of California, the state to which I was born on. And that corrects the record with the Department of State. They issue a passport after they do a couple rebuttals. We then, before we're going into the process of IRS, SSA, voters, and all those things, but now we can do one of two things. You can remove the exhibit of your passport application off those documents, or you can do a self-certify. Not a lot of difference in having it removed from there. It's just more I dotting, more T crossing, and kind of important just as a notice to them that the Department of State is also on notice and you've applied for your passport as a state of the union citizen. And that's kind of important, but it's not overall from an end standpoint, going to make a difference. And so we're trying to push the process along for people quicker. And I do want to say something. There's a lot of people out there that have come to me recently and asked me, have I let XYZ person do our process on our behalf? And the answer is no. I have never, ever authorized anybody to represent his advocates or our documents or sell our documents to anybody else. And there is a gentleman out there that's selling our documents, and he does not have our permission. Never got our permission, and there's a very big reason why we do that. I have seen over the years, and I've been in this game half my life now. And I've seen many people get a set of docs, and generally speaking, if I would almost guarantee it, if I could look at the original set as intended by the creator, it's completely different and perverted and altered by the time you get over here. So you would see, oh, these are XYZ's documents, and then we would review them, and they're not. And so it's critical for me to let you know this, because you may not know that there may have been an agent that picked them up. And next thing you know, if everybody's trying to get free and there's 100 people out there, I guarantee in 30, 40 of those people are going to be agents for the federal government trying to throw people off course and screw them up, get them in trouble. And then who's to blame? Oh, those are his advocate's documents. No, they're not. And that's an important qualifier. And this is why we hold on to this like a iron grip. And it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with security for you. Because I have seen the outcome of what happens to people when you get somebody in between making adjustments and changes, and then the next party doesn't know what they're signing. But if you know that, even with the stuff that we're sending out, you can read it. Many people, I'm sure, would have to pull out a law dictionary and sit there and study it for hours on end just to get their mind wrapped around what they're studying. We encourage everybody to do that, but some people don't. So can you imagine if 100 people out there are representing his advocates and they're doing their documents on their own, and quite a few of them are agents? Next thing you know, there's a bunch of people getting it wrong. So I'm beating this dead horse down. We've never and will never authorize another entity, unless they're using our document platform to print from, to do our docs, period. And unless they're using our communication system so that we can support them. Because listen, guys, I've met a lot of people out there, and I've answered 3,000 plus questions on this Q&A, and people still are asking questions, and there isn't really, it's only experience that breaks this down to you so that you can know how to do it. That's it. Nobody can come from left field and be the guru or be the guy that knows. And what if you get in a pickle, and what happens if? And we got some pretty pickle questions tonight that I'm going to be answering in depth, and it's going to really be helpful. It's because of knowledge and history, and going through something in that regard makes it so much easier for you to get out of a pickle. And so the bottom line for all of us is, I want to make this known, because again, I don't want anybody to be harmed, and I want everybody to have an opportunity for freedom. So if somebody is out there representing that they're have our permission, they do not, and that would be a disqualifier for me to personally to ever want to do business with the person unless they call and I guess apologize or what have you. These are really they're our documents. We created these right here, and and that foundation right here over years and years and years, and that's something that's pretty important to understand, because here's let me give you a first question. Julie, Julia, excuse me, having an issue getting something recorded in the county recorder's office, and it's a property, and what they're trying to do is trick her with her permission to put stuff back into their names or a corporation's name, even though they lawfully recorded a couple of properties into the name of the foundation that we created her. And then they took some other properties and screwed it up and didn't record those in a proper name. Now they are asking her to utilize a judge to correct their record. Now, come on. And this quote unquote quasi retired, whatever he is, judge is trying to put her back into the system with her permission. And they're saying that they can't register an unincorporated association as a something that will go into the county recorder. meaning a deposited, recorded item into the county recorder, a deed. And I would suggest that is a complete farce because every single state has an allowance for a private church, call it whatever you want, to record. You can't tell an entity that is not registered, unrecorded, that they can't record something. Now, an unincorporated association would be kind of like a private membership association. Even those I've seen recorded both in Oregon and all over the country. But there are some statutes that do apply, which, and if we start learning truly what a statute is versus what a court ruling is versus what the law allows for, they many times contradict each other and they many times put each other at odds or, against the truth. And the truth is that any private church in any county recorder can record, purchase, and hold. Now, I don't care if you call it a private membership association, if that's your statute that is not allowing us to record in your county, that's not what we are. We're a private church. Now, they can come back and make any argument that they wish. And I guarantee that there's Oregon, there's Colorado, there's Utah, there's Denver, there's California, there's Texas, both state and federal Supreme Court rulings that say what I just said, which is a private unincorporated church. And I guarantee I can find some Supreme Court rulings all over the states. I've done it before. I've looked it up before, and I did create a letter. And Julia, we do have something. I just haven't had time to grab it and get it to you. I have called you, and I did not get a call back, but we can hook up anytime this week and finish this dialogue up. Be more than happy to. The bottom line is everybody can record. Every type of entity can record, and they may have statutes that go against that. But there's the First Amendment. There's the rights that people have to do whatever they wish. See, our rights come from God. And a private foundation literally is a church. And I know some people think of it as an unincorporated association, but it's not. It's got 1, 2, 3 members. And that doesn't make it necessarily an association. And an association might be different from a structural standpoint of quote unquote ownership or whether it can own. And there are associations that are specific within their bylaws that do not allow for the association to own anything. And then there's associations that are specific in their bylaws that do allow you to own things, like a homeowners association. Our homeowners association owns quite a bit of property. And so that's an incorporated association. So what is the difference other than hypocrisy of an unincorporated versus incorporated? So what do? You find the Supreme Court rulings, hopefully in your state. Even if it's not, it still would apply to your state. For sure, if the federal Supreme Court said, which it does, unincorporated private churches have a right to hold land, own land, period. And your worst case scenario, guys, if you've ever heard of this before, is a counter deed. You can still control and own the land. And this is what we have a lot of people have elected to do this, whereby they take themselves or a foundation and they close their tax account and say they sold the property to a foundation. Now, this is where you need to stop. And as a licensed real estate broker, understand something. This is one of the questions that was on the exam. I've been saying this for years. Are you required to record a deed in the county recorder? And the answer is no. Look up the definition of counter deed and you will get your answer. It's a deed held in the private. So if somebody were to take the steps and not sell, or to sell their property, make it known to the county and close the tax account. And the county is going to say, give me the deed. You're going to say, go pound sand. The new owner, the foundation, is holding a private deed known as a counter deed. And that counter deed can be put into the public through a newspaper, can be put in through the public through another county, recorded in another state, just to get it into the public and then serve them with notice that there has been a purchase. It is considered a counter deed held in the private and will never be recorded, as we do not desire your benefits of the county. Again, 100% lawful, 100% legal. That's the one thing that everybody falls short on most of the time. But again, Black's law is pretty clear, and a counter deed is extremely clear as recorded in Black's law, held up by a Supreme Court, telling you what I just said. And so you literally can transfer property, close the tax account, create a new one, not record in the county, put it in the public somewhere else, blacken out who owns the property, and give the county a letter saying, look, we are here, we're the holder, we're not making a deposit of our deed into the county. We do not elect for the benefit of X, Y, and Z that the county is providing for the services over our land, as we do not wish to partake in your taxation, which is why most people are doing it. Now, look, you're going to potentially have a fight, and you got to monitor what the county is doing. But if the county does not have a volunteer to pay taxes, there's nobody that can be leaned on. What are they going to do? Go back to the old owner who closed the account and has a paper trail, who's done it lawfully, provided a transaction sale, but not a copy of the deed? Think about this. I sold my property in such and such state under the pains and penalties of perjury. True story. Get it notarized. Get a land sales agreement, and you redact the name. You keep your name on it, and you put the APN on it, and you serve the county with it. They're not going to know who bought the dang property. You're saying, "See, I closed it. I would like the account closed." They can't force you to keep an account open when you've sold a property to an unknown company, organization, what have you. But this is where we have to beware. You have to be mindful of the tricks of the state. Okay. And the state 30, 40 years ago, guys, look, people with fee simple absolute, they didn't pay property taxes. Okay. Because it was allodial. That's what fee simple absolute basically means from a recordation standpoint in the county. It's absolute tenure entitled to the center of the earth. So a lot of people that held land, fee simple absolute, did not pay property taxes. So when did that switch get turned on? It got turned on when people started doing joint tenants, tenants in common, and all those things that could create a taxable revenue for the state, because the state was providing services. What services was the state providing? This is how the game works with the state. They always say, we're going to provide you with water, fire service, police service, all these great garbage service, all these great things that the counties are going to be providing on behalf of the state. And a long time ago, we said, yeah, that's cool. Oh man, it's only $100 a year for all of that. Yeah, we'll pay it. Now it's 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 a year, and it's the same service. Your service sucks, okay? I haven't called the cops to come out here. I haven't called the fire department. Hey, you know what? At $30,000 a year, it'll take me 1 year to get a sprinkler system put into place. It'll take me 2 years to get uh, a uh, a well put into place, or maybe a few years. I can have at least a pond with a pump and a big old fire hose. I'll have the entire extremity of my property completely hooked into a private water well system, where it'll go off in the event of some fire. I'm good. I'll self-insure. Thank you very much. Have a good day. I don't need to record. That's how the federal and state governments have been treating its good citizens for a long time. They always started like the Bureau of Land Management. They always started with something small. Here, join us in the early 70s. and you'll get all these benefits. Now they're telling you you can't even feed your own cows on certain lands that you hold hundreds of years of rights over because you've contracted with the Bureau of Land Management. That's what the big deal was about with the that Nevada group for a long time, is they had lost their rights. They really didn't, but the state wanted to make them feel like they lost their rights. So what they do, they threatened them, surrounded them, killed some of their cattle, made them feel like, and they did this to over 50 residents in the state of Nevada. So a few of the people there can own and control, meaning senators, legislatures, can make deals to sell this land off to their friends. Literally, that's what happened. And that's what's been happening all over this world. We are in a disgusting state of lack of democracy, lack of republic, lack of concern for its people. And the reality is, I looked at the last several days here in California, and guys, look, um, I'm just sick and tired of seeing chemtrails a half a mile or a mile wide and then covering the whole sky. And then I get in a car that has a filtration system, and then I look at the numbers of the outside air and it's unhealthy. I'm like, what are they dropping? I mean, I know. And then the very next day, fog. And the very next day, fog. Fog? Dude, it's March. Fog? Bro, it's like 65 degrees outside. Fog? It's not 25, 35, 40 degrees. And the fog stays for hours, like sunny outside, 72 degrees, and I'm sitting in fog. That's where your good tax dollars are going. That's what you're paying into. You're paying into the help and support of the mutilation and creating sickness and disease for all the people in this world. And I honestly, and I don't mean to make it a spiritual thing, I honestly believe that we are going to be held accountable. God was not talking to non-believers, to heathens, when he said, come out. He knows what the structural system is. He knows the beast and the whore. He's the one that wrote about it. And why did man make up this system that literally emulates exactly what the Bible says it was going to do? And I look, and God's like, you know what? You come out, you're not going to partake in the plagues, meaning you're not going to partake in the crap that's going to hit, the judgments that I'm going to allow. You're not going to partake in that. Why? Well, because you're not feeding the whore and her deadly diseases and what she's doing to the world. You're not supporting the beast system. And so, I look at what's going on today. I look at countries and how they control our nation. I look at how we are going to wars for countries we shouldn't be. I look at how things are being done, and I feel like we're being played across the board. And I'm just being honest. I'm not against a biblical narrative. I'm just being honest. And the real reason why we're attacking Iran, the real reason, is because it's been a foretold plan for 30 years or longer with this federal government. General Clark, Wesley Clark, outed the plan back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And there's only one country that hasn't been attacked by Hamas. There's meaning in that region in the Middle East, and there's only one country left that hasn't been completely taken out, that Wesley Clark said was on that list to be taken out over the next X amount of years. We, as a nation, have supported the demise of every one of those nations using the terms freedom and democracy. And the death toll of the people of those nations is in the millions. We're guilty. Look, if you are supporting structurally, financially, applauding, voting for these people that are doing this, You are supporting the death of innocent people, and you will be found guilty. I guarantee it. Charlie Kirk himself, great, great man, probably was going to be the next president. Charlie Kirk himself said, "What? Don't go to war with Iran." He begged Trump not to. Within a few days, he was killed. Listen, anybody that stands against the agenda and is inside of the system, there is a right to come and go and attack against that party because you are owned by a corporation that is in bankruptcy and defunct, and the creditors are now coming after the collateral, which is the people, and they're doing it in many ways, including but not limited to vaccines and spray through the air and water and so these are things that we have to consider. I've never thought I would be on a broadcast having to say we're being sprayed. And here's the conspiracy: nanoparticulate robotic particles that we inhale that get into our system and work on DNA structural changes to us and the way that we feel. Yes, sounds like the biggest conspiracy on earth. I'm telling you right now, it's not. And I want to suggest some other things. And look, we've got a lot of weird events coming up. Don't worry about the weird events. Don't worry about what's going on in the world. Worry about yourself. And this is why we have our VIP membership. And this is why we are a collective and a community. And we are discussing the biblical intent, what we need to be thinking, how we need to be thinking, why, and what is going on in the world, and how can we combat these things together. And those are the things to which we really have an opportunity to be secure and to be safe. Number one, we're being obedient as a body. We're all coming out. I know I am not. And if I can get a store to remove the tax to the state, I will do it. I do not want to partake one single dime, gift, anything into the largest street gang in the world. And that's how I look at him. And I don't care who's at the helm. Just because he's blonde and he went through his, what I would call a demeaning process, which is what the devil does with everybody before he allows them to go through the roof. I know a lot of people out there think that organization, that leader, the Republican Party, and a lot of people think to the contrary of the Democratic Party, obviously, but a lot of people are thinking we have the best president ever. And there's been some things that would indicate that, right? But none of the white elephants are coming off the table, and he's completely supporting it. Let me ask you a question. With his friends being from Palantir, and with his vice president and future running mate, Erica Kirk, literally Vance Kirk 2027 domain already purchased. With all that known and known who they are being supported by financially, we are being walked into the world order by this administration at one point very soon. And none of the things that we are really concerned about. I mean, I know people think there's been a lot of action, there's been a lot of good, but there's some of those actions and some of those things that have been done are not good. The way that we're being pulled into the crypto community, the way that we're removing our cashless system, all of these things, guys, are just being looked over, glossed over. And the fact that we as a collective body are sitting here in republic as a state citizen under God directly is a statement of our protections that we have in law. So I want to encourage you guys. I gotta get some water. Come on. I need water here. I gotta get some water. I want to encourage you guys. It is absolutely going to be okay for the people that have been obedient and come out. For the people that had the foreknowledge to remove themselves from the financial system, because those people that are still stuck in there with large cash deposits, look, you can pull $1 million out. I've had clients do it, pull $1 million out and buy gold, physical, in hand. Get yourself a big safe. Go get yourself a gun. Don't let anybody know. Don't have it delivered to your house. Don't be stupid. Don't be followed from the delivery point to your home. Don't be dumb. Okay. There's ways to secure your future by being a bank yourself, holding crypto on a hard wallet that is not controlled or owned by the banking system, to which I believe personally, just like they did with gold in the 30s, they're going to make it illegal to own certain cryptos for the United States citizen, which is a debtor. How can you be a debtor and holder of something valuable? Okay. It's 4:30. We're going to have a brief moment of intermission while I walk down the hall, grab myself some water, and I'll be right back. You may use the restroom. Give me 1 minute. All right. All right. All right. All right. My name is Matthew McConaughey. All right. I will center in the picture. 1 moment, please. Thank you. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is, we're all going through some major adjustments. But what we're seeing constantly over and over is a song and dance and act, and a lot of people are being stepped aside like it's a real thing, like it's their focus is taken off the truth, and then their focus is taken off really what is happening. So when you take a look at how big the conspiracies are for religion, how big the conspiracies are for conspiracy facts, like why certain religions were started, um, and what religions they use to control people. I mean, I can go on and on and on. But conspiracy facts, why they develop certain things, why is everything a false flag? What is the purpose of all of these things to structure up for themselves the ability to create more rules, more laws, more codes, more statutes against the freedoms of the American people? And then you have a president who we don't know if he's Christian, Jew, supportive Jew. We know his son-in-law is a huge supporter and Jewish, which look, there's some argument that is being made right now all the way across the board about what an American is, who America was. Was America founded, or was America, what I mean by founded is something different than maybe what you think I mean. Um, were there cities here before we got here? Is the instruction on what we were told about American Indians living here and we conquered them all true? And I don't think it is. And I think it was done by design in a lot of these different respects. And I don't care about the narrative of whether these things that promote a certain agenda to be completed on why countries are created, why countries are dissolved, why countries need to go to wars. I don't care anymore. I'm at this stage in my life where I'm just here to build my ship, my freedom vessel, lawfully, physically, spiritually. I'm here to make sure that my family, my community, my friends are free, that we are in support of one another. And I don't care if you're a Jew, I don't care if you're a black, I don't care if you're Muslim. I really don't, because I have the opportunity to talk to another brother and tell him my way and give him a right or a wrong, or but I'm always going to be that friend, and I'm always going to be that helper in tying people to come together, because they want us to blankety hate each other, so we kill each other, all by design. They've written books about it. They have talked about things that aren't found in scripture or Quran or Talmud to cause chaos between the people. All they want to see us do is die or become their slave. All they care about in their life is to succeed about one thing, which is to go against the global order. Meaning let me rephrase that. There's a body of people that is a part of the Trump administration that is going against the global order right now, but it's for what purpose? To bring on a controlling system that is exactly like the world order, but it's like, who's running it? It's almost like there's a competition to find out who the leader of the world is going to be, or there's a competition to find out who the organization is going to ultimately be in control of this world. And so there's this entirety of struggle, and I'm not even getting into one of the baddest of baddest guys that's ever been alive, Elon Musk. Elon, I don't want to get into that, who seems to be able to create a company out of thin air, demand, after he buys it from somebody else, demand that he be called a founder, demand that he, is shown. But the guy has done amazing things. And the question is, how? SpaceX, extraterrestrial. Do you even know what outer space, the definition of that actually means? Or extraterrestrial? Do you know what the definition of that actually means? No. You're thinking it's planetary. Your planetary could be right here, and it could be extraterrestrial, outer space. Do you know that, in my opinion, I don't think we've ever been outer space, meaning outside of the dome or outside of the firmament or outside of the waters, if you believe in the Bible. I don't believe we have. I actually look at what gets launched up into space, and I see what looks like water get hit. Have you ever seen one of Elon Musk's rockets nail the firmament and watch it go through? Does it go through? No. Nope. Not in my opinion. Do you think we have stuff floating in outer space? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think there's balloons that are holding our satellites. That's my personal opinion. Now, I could be considered a conspiracy nut or whack job. But what is the contrary? That we've been on the moon 50 years ago? Have you seen those videos of us jumping across? Neil Armstrong, one small step for man. Hold on. Camera crew's outside, down the hall, on the dirt already, pointing the camera at Neil Armstrong coming down the ladder. The first man on the moon. Who's filming? And then they watch the pod leave, filming it. And then somehow the film gets back to here so it can be on the front page of every news the next day. What? Who filmed Neil Armstrong? Obviously, there was already somebody there on the moon filming him. So somebody else was the first man on the moon. Somebody else set the cameras up. Do you know Buzz Aldrin, at least 20 times the other guy that was with him that went to the moon, says we've never been on the moon? At least I've seen him at least 10 times in the public stating this. The point I'm trying to make is when you hear something, it's not always the truth. Like, we really don't know what's going on in Iran or in Israel or in Palestine or anywhere. And we don't know who's to blame for genocide or non-genocide. We don't know who's to blame for attacks or rockets. All you know is the news reported a rocket hitting, but it could have been self-induced to cause a false flag, to cause a reaction, to cause anger amongst the people, to get us going against these people. And then here we are. More war. Guys, you really have to have a woman's intuition these days. You really do, just to kind of know what to believe in and what narrative not to believe. It just blows my mind that we don't have the believability of a government anymore, or the believability of a media anymore. The media literally is allowed, literally a Supreme Court ruling has determined this, is allowed to directly lie to us. Police are literally, the guys who are supposed to be good are literally allowed to lie. Federal agents, the people representing our freedoms, are allowed to lie. They're allowed to create entire administrations to force a play known as COVID-19 to get everybody forced into thinking that if they don't get a certain shot, that they're going to be fired. Promoted, produced by the federal government. Brought in initially by Trump, who still supports that. Then by another administration for 4 years. And then they toyed with us about the unvaccinated. Didn't allow us to travel, treated us like rejects. And I know some people feel stupid for what they've done now that they've come to the knowledge of what they're finding. And it's not me that's finding it. These are studies that have been done. There's been settlements already in these big pharmas with what they have done. And they're trying to keep this all on the hush. At least 20 years ago, if somebody died, they would stop the trials. Instead, remdesivir, to be shot up with remdesivir and then put on a ventilator for 10 days and you're guaranteed death. And there's no doctors. There's no Fauci. There's no president. Nobody's going to jail. And doctors are writing causes of death that are unrelated, falsifying documents, shooting people up while they are asleep just to get the commissions. What the frick is going on? That I have to write a letter to a hospital. You do not have permission to inject me when I'm under with anything. Why do I have to do that? This administration, to me, is no different. And I know I'm bumming a lot of people out right now. And I think to myself, good. You have your hope in something that is the wrong place. Yet we have in law the ability to come out and be self-governed. We still want to be like the original Israel. Please, God, give us a king. What did they do? They begged for Saul, a king that was not a king for the people. And finally, God caved and gave him David. What did we do? We were grieved with a Biden. And we begged and we got a Trump. We're getting played, man. We're getting so played, and we think we're watching the best show of the year. Oh, it's so awesome. He's so great. We have our rights back again. Holy crap. No, you don't. You're a United States citizen. You don't got anything. You don't have any rights. So I want to encourage you guys, man. This is something that we really need to get our minds wrapped around. And this is kind of why I'm taking the steps to go over the top with this new motif of founding fathers around the marketing of the Q&As. And I got myself in the garb of I'm on the horseback for last week. This week I'm holding a musket. And I do think of myself kind of as a modern day founding father only because I've been a party to the re-inhabitation of this republic. And I took it another step. I actually re-inhabited myself's republic, where I came myself back into a republic. And then we created this book where I wanted everybody to see the book and to help them understand how important this book is. Where we are allowed to have the ability as a nation of free people to have self-governance here on our land. And so keeping that in mind, why is our family thinking that we don't? Why are we thinking we're still a slave when the law says different? Well, because they come against the rights of the people all the time. They just keep pushing and door knocking, pulling you out by your dreadlocks, pulling you out by your buck teeth, pulling you out by your, you know, whatever, and making you feel like you're 2 cents instead of like a king. And so there's a lot we have to learn and what is self-governance. And there's a lot of things that we need to learn about self-respect and respecting others and understanding that there's a blend in understanding what the self-governance actually means. And what does a trial by a jury mean? What does a grand jury mean? What is a true bill? What is a true bill slash indictment? We don't even understand the basics of the laws that are still in effect today or in this nation. We don't understand the basics. It's just like Missouri law, Trinity Pentecostal Church versus Terry explicitly confirms that unincorporated religious associations lack legal capacity to hold or transfer real estate. Therefore, property must be held in the names of the trustee of the church. I will look into that because in every state in this nation, and I have also found Supreme Court rulings that a private unincorporated church has the ability to own land. There's a definition difference of real estate and land, and that might be as simple as it is. And we'll talk about that, but let's not worry about that because it's recording everywhere else. And there is absolutely no way that they're going to stop anybody from recording in the name of a private church because there are Supreme Court rulings that have already dealt with that. All right, let's get to the questions. First question. I completed LPP step 4 for IRS and SSA in 2025. I did not change my W-4 with my employer and I received a W-2. You got to remember, you're only as good as your latest contract. Should I file? The reality is you made a contract. You don't have an obligation to file. You noticed the IRS, you did all 3 letters, and you came out. The reality is you don't have to file, but I want to teach people that you're only as good as your latest contract because that's what they would use in court. So if it were me, I would correct the record. I'd say, hey, look, this was not done properly as a W-4T or a W-4 tax exempt or a W-8 BEN. What is the taxable obligation to a state citizen? Write a letter, write another letter, write another letter. If you need to do a 1040, do the 1040, but don't put the element of a check with it. Just let them set the debt off and get paid. And that way you won't come under scrutiny as somebody who didn't file a tax return. But the bottom line is you don't have an obligation to, but remember something, you got to clean up those loose ends. You can't just do a regular W-4 anymore, or a regular W-9. You can't do that, or a 1099. You have to come out. You have to make it a W-4 exempt or a W-4T or a W-8 BEN. Those are the ways to properly move forward on a contract. I contributed my former land and home to a foundation and recorded it in the county. Happily paid and gratefully received a tax exemption letter from his advocates with a clear sample. A recent Q&A discussion sounded as though it might be maybe encouraged to just pay the property tax rather than go the exemption route, which is a major hassle. But I would have a savings of $6K a year. Please clarify. You're not exempt until the county recognizes you as exempt, and they will continue to put a lien on your property after year 3 or 4 if you do not pay those property taxes and show yourself or prove yourself as exempt. Remember, Terry, what we're doing these foundations for is asset protection and to properly place things into God's name, okay? Where he is holding. And the element of being tax exempt is absolute, but every county has a fight with that process, and they have a way to get those things done, even for their own organizations, 501c3s. So there's a process you have to go through. Do not just not pay taxes. If it were me, I'd write a check and I'd write it with a letter every year. Notice of unlawful tax payment for tax exempt organization. And I'd put under duress in the memo line of the check, and I'd pay the taxes. And then when you're ready to do the fight, and then you can go all the way back and get that money back if you win the case. And there are people that are winning, so it's work. It's not going to be easy, I guarantee that. Part 2, I want to lease the house to help support the ministry and also to assist with the upkeep. Is there anything to prohibit or protect such leasing of foundation property? No, just do private lease agreements if you're going to do it. Something that doesn't prohibit you from kicking them out the next day if they don't make a payment. I'm not saying that's what you do. I'm saying that you don't want to be under a county rule or regulation, so you don't use their forms. We have lease agreements if you want that we can give to you. Just make that request. Dang me, jury duty things to be aware of when answering questionnaire, not compromise status ID. If they require asking if U.S. citizens, how long have you been there, resided in Florida County, etc. Is that a statement or just making me aware, Jamie? What is the question, Jamie, if there is a question? I apologize, but it sounded to me like a statement. To not compromise status, to be aware when answering questionnaire, to not compromise status ID. If they require asking if a U.S. citizen of the United States, how long you've been how long have you resided in Florida County, etc. Haven't read the question. How do we get married in the private? I have a covenant agreement. You can ask for a copy of it if you want. You find somebody that'll marry you. You guys sign the agreement. You have 3 or 4 witnesses, the pastor, your best friends, and a couple of extra witnesses all sign 4 separate copies. What we did is we had the pastor, brothers, best friends all sign 4 copies. 1 copy on our wall, 1 copy in a safe, 1 copy to each of the best man and maid of honor. And the rule is, if they see that our lives are not living in accordance to that agreement, that they have a right to sit us down and discuss it, and that we will repent and and come back under that agreement as it is between us and God. And we need to honor God. So that's a lawful and legal marriage according to Black's law, having equal footing to a legal marriage in any state, nationwide. And it's a good thing. Anyway, good question. Peter, what's up? Long time no see. What would you oh, we got a hypothetical. Here we go. Suggest my hypothetical father who lives in Canada to leave upon his death an apartment while I have a foundation in the United States. Apartment is still not paid off. Can he contribute it to the foundation or other steps that would be needed to be taken? Will, trust, or else? Which, by the way, people that are having issues with getting properties, quote unquote, in the name of a foundation, if there's easy ways to overcome that with unregistered trusts that make the foundation the beneficial owner. There's easy ways to overcome that. If it were me, I'd fight to have the foundation as the owner. But if you really need to and you want to make it quick, you can put a trust in play where you guys are in control, unregistered, and make the foundation the beneficial interest. You can even make the trust show that you're the beneficial interest if need be, and after the fact being revocable, you can make the foundation the beneficiary per your will within the trust, revoking the current position of the trust and making the foundation the beneficiary. There's all kinds of things that can be done. So if I were you, Peter, I'm guessing you can put property and foundation in Canada. I know we can. I think I remember people doing that. It's an international foundation. It's not something that is limited to this nation. Just checking if you received my 319 email, final notice letters, errors, or accuracies. I know that you're super busy with mega important everything. I'm grateful for it all. Thank you, Terry. Listen, I did receive it. I thought I responded to it, Terry. Put it in my inbox again. I'll take a look at it. And I'll look in my sent folder and see if I've sent it. I've had some weird things happening with my mailbox. Like I'll send something, I'll get a bounce back, but they'll get it. Or I'll send something, I'll get a bounce back and they never get it. I don't know why. I think a lot of servers out there, like Google servers, are just messing with my domain. So I got to figure all that out. And every 6 months, Terry, I got to clean a couple lists and say I'm not a junk mail sender and all those kinds of things just because they're messing with me. First question: if I cannot be on this Q&A call, but I can listen to the recording, where's the best place to post my question so that it gets answered on the next Q&A? You just email me, Kelby at hisadvocates.org with the question, or post it to the next to Alex on the support topic system and just say, Alex, have Kelby answer this. Alex creates a list and I get them answered. I did not ask my question correctly last Thursday, so I did not get the answer I was looking for. Apologize. I already have my house in our foundation using the deed that you provided in the LPP. Obviously, for everybody like Julia, this is telling you county after county after county is allowing for this. And again, I don't know what is even in that case or what exists within that case, but I would definitely like to look at that. But I can show you case law after case law that allows for private churches unincorporated own land. And that's super important to understand. But we recorded it at the county, not knowing we should have. You can record it at the county, you're fine. To get out of their system into fully in the private, what would be the best path to take? Well, you're already recorded in the foundation, so you're good to go. Obviously, you have tax rolls, but you're recorded now in a private entity that cannot be sued. You're recorded right now in fee simple absolute, so you have absolute tenure and title over that land. So there's many things that you have already accomplished by recording the foundation in the county recorder. To get it out of their system fully, what would be the best path to take? That's an hour-long dialogue. I've had plenty of LPP discussion points regarding that. And there's many different ways to take that path, but you got to be ready for a fight because the county is not just going to let go. And if you're going to do a sale to a new foundation that you don't record the new foundation deed and you just serve them with notice of the transfer, you close the tax account here. I made a sale. Here's a copy of the sales agreement, redacting the name of the purchaser. And then you don't record the new deed. There's a lot of people in limbo land, like going on for a couple of years now, watching the county and what they're doing. County can't do anything because there's no new owner in the county to pay those taxes. Okay. So again, no requirement to record a deed in the county upon sale. Second proof, counter deed in Black's Law. Look it up. Counter deed into a common law trust with our current foundation as trustee, or create another foundation. Seems like common law trust is easy to do. And they are private, unrecorded, not required to report to anybody. Yep, I get it. Understand something that common law trusts don't have tax exemption rights that a church does, like a foundation. So just know that. And know that this is a much deeper conversation, but know that you've already done it. Mark, you've already done it. You're recorded in the name of the foundation. You've already done it. You're bulletproof in so many different ways. And now that you have done that, there are ways to do the next step, and you can simply ask them a question. Look, we're a church. I want to get the tax exemption as the leader of the church under the fact that I live in this property. What are the form requirements for me to fill out to make sure I get tax exemption? Just work with us on those forms and we can start there. The second step is what we've already said. If you don't get success on that, and or sue them. And so those are things that we got to realize. The county, look, I'm not here advertising people are going to get out of paying property taxes. I'm telling you the ways that people are trying. And I'm telling you that people have had success, but it is after a suit. It is after hearings. It is after work. Okay. And I know everybody wants that. What's more important right now? Just getting the name transferred into a name they don't own or control, private, unincorporated church, period. Something that can't be sued. Vesting has to be right. Legal description, no, meets and bounds. Now you've owned land. You're doing it by hand, gold, for an undisclosed amount of consideration. All the things of the deed. You're doing a deed acceptance on our deed. So if you've done our deed, you've done the deed acceptance, you own the land outright through the foundation. You've already won. Now, if you want to take those next steps, we don't have a product for that. We support people that have questions on that and that want to do the fight. I am not an attorney. I don't do the fight for you. Okay. There's a battle always when somebody's trying to get out of paying these taxes. But guys, let's be sensible here. The reality is if there's nobody to charge, there's no payment to be made. I remember once I pulled up, somebody was writing me a traffic ticket. I said, ma'am, don't give me a ticket. She said, if I don't have a card to put anything on, I'm not legally allowed to give a ticket. I said, are you telling me to leave? She said, if I don't have a card to put anything on, I don't have a ticket. If there is no deed contracted with the county because the old person closed the account and sold the land to a private unincorporated church that the county doesn't know who owns, that doesn't wish to contract with the county for the county services that started 40, 50 years ago out of the blue so we can get fire protection, police protection, some water. You know what I mean? That's or trash, whatever the county is. And each county is a little bit different, but that's how they started their advertisement to get us to pay this property tax. It all started 1 year. Okay. $100, $150. And like, man, that's nothing to get protection. And everybody started paying. Well, they started doing the same thing at the BLM around the same time. They all started paying. Next year went up. Next year went up. Then they started telling you what to do, how to do it. No, you can't build that here. No, you're not allowed to do. You need permit, 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 permit. Look, man, it is what it is. But this is a battle of freedom, guys. And this is why we need to understand there are ways to work around the system and the structure. And there's a lot of people out there in that holding pattern, but they're having to pay attention. They're having to look. Are they putting any liens on the county recorder? Are they having any sales? Does it look like any notice of auctions coming up? Why? Because you don't know if the county's going to make some pretense like they're the new owner, and they have a right to bill. They don't have a right to bill you if you haven't contracted with them for water, trash, or fire. They don't have no right. That's what the taxes are for in their own county. That's what they say they're for. So if you elect to do those services, you have to pay. Anyway, hope that helps. How does a U.S. banks increase monitoring cash operations with enhanced reporting scrutiny on transactions and withdrawals exceeding $1,000 affect the foundation's interest? I don't know how it affects it. I know it won't. It won't require that foundation or church or private church or SSM and most unincorporated trusts to file a return. All those transactions are to identify what is a taxable item so that they can control your life, your income, and how much you owe. So the answer is it doesn't affect foundations because they don't have a requirement to file a return. Next question. When I tried to open up an account at B of A, they said they couldn't because they needed a legal document proving incorporation in the state. John, what state? Remember, guys, when you ask questions, give me as much as you can so I can tell you what's going on, if anything. The only one that's giving an issue with that is Florida. I have people fly out and open up accounts out here that live in Florida under the foundation name. Wells Fargo, B of A, you name it. If I wanted to gift transfer a foundation to somebody, which documents do I use along with the dual notary witness process? Correct. Dual witness process, no notary requirement. You would just simply remove your name from whatever role to that foundation and put their name in it and create a letter or it's duly notarized or single notarized or duly witnessed or and you place it in the document. You go down to the bank, you remove yourself from the accounts and let them open up the new account. It's pretty simple. And give them a copy of that to put in the document. Our house and vehicles are in the foundation. What are the best types of insurance to cover the house and vehicles, umbrella policies, commercial or residential? Residential, loss payee is the foundation, you're the insured. Next question. What's up, Gary? I have a friend who has an adult special needs child. She's gone through the process of being appointed as the legal guardian, but she has to report to the state every year to get permission to continue to be his guardian. How does she get free from the state approval and the fear that the court could appoint their guardian and take her son away from her? Does it start with getting son free from government adhesion contracts like the birth certificate and social security number? So Gary, in essence, everybody that has a birth certificate is in the same predicament, only hers is more clear. Is she the legal guardian or mother, Gary? And you said take her son. It's not her son if she's a guardian. So that's a question from mother. Mark, do you know Gary? Mark answered for Gary. Okay. So if she's the mom, there's all kinds of things that she can do. Why is the child under the state? And there's not a lot that I know about this. I'm going to be upfront with you, but there's a child with the state because the mother receives not just her guardianship through the state, but the child has some kind of payment system to the mom to help her support the child. Is that happening? Yes or no? Does the mom receive a benefit for being a guardian, supporting her own son? Yes or no? Child gets benefits. Okay. Um, I got it, John. I see state is California. So, I know of a lot of people that go after the child from a standpoint of doing a lean, controlling the BC. I've seen all kinds of stuff done. I would not worry about that so much as um, just becoming free yourself and know that the contracts that she's doing with the state, she can do certain things on the contracts to make sure she has reservations of rights. It's not her that's receiving benefits directly, but she is holding the office of the artificial person of the BC by receiving benefits. But most everybody is one way or the other. So we just need to worry about how she is contracting with them. So there may be a revision done with the application. There may be a renewal done that we would have to fix. But if you're asking so that she can come out, um, there's more to protecting that child than could be answered on this. Like with what I would do in utilizing instruments to gain access to legal and lawful authority over the child, what I would do with the courts, but she may not be equipped to do all that, and she may not um, even have the desire. So there is a way to play the ball that she is already playing while doing a full reservation of rights, get continued support from the state over the child, and ultimately be a free woman herself. There is a way to get that accomplished. What are we doing about this geoengineering warfare that is surely an ongoing crime against all of nature and humanity? Does your grand juries and militias seem appropriate for such? Well, do what you're going to do. I have yet to see anybody have any success, and the reason is what is in the chem spray and the overall underlining purpose of it. And when people get that through their heads, they'll understand why an administration is not saying anything about the the GMOs, the fluoride, the chem spray, the pharma, the DNA swap. There's not a lot the administration's doing about any of the white elephants. I don't know how to answer your question, but I will say this: there is technology that wipes out um, structures at a nano level in a from a standpoint of let me explain. Um, there's a couple of guys out in the 70s when it was I never saw this. I never was there, but I could substantiate it in a couple of other ways. Who pointed big devices the size of a house to this guy, turned them on. They were using an electromagnetic frequency, copper, and all kinds of technology that is natural. And it cleared the sky in 2 days. The feds came to his house and figured out what he was doing. And it was basically, on a huge level, negative ionizer, an O3 particulate negative ionizer machine that crushed these nano level particulates and cleared the sky. And I'm giving a very rudimentary description of how it does it. But there are devices that I am procuring for my own home, my own area, that are copper based coils that face up to the heavens. And I have seen people put these around their yards. Um, and they point them up to the sky, and the sky clears above them. So if we can't control it for the masses, we are learning to control it individually. So I want you to consider that at the very least for yourself and start looking into what we maybe need to think about. Because I'm going to be, when I find that, I'm going to post it to our store to help people get that stuff for them. Plus, guys, listen, I forget what it's called, but two things need to happen. We need to get our blood filtered and our blood cleaned. There is processes, I'm blanking on the name. If somebody wants to throw it in the comments, I'm blanking on the name, where you can have your blood filtered and where they run you through a machine, hook up your right arm, and it comes out the left side, and you can see your blood get ran through a filter, and then it goes through an O3 generator. And then it goes back and gets pumped back into your body, and they show you a bag of horrific um pathogens, bacteria, and they show on the bottom of the bag, and I couldn't believe it. The doctor said, see, there was a square inch of metals that came out of the blood. So there's two things we need to be doing. We need to do a therapy kind of like that, but we also need to sweat. And so part of that is people are going to need to have a both either a wet or a dry sauna or both. And they're going to need, like it used to be, that was a luxury. Now it's a requirement because of what is happening. And then we need to think about like our air. And I hate to say this, for myself, I have HEPA filter, pathogen filter, germ filter, uh, screens on my intake for my air conditioning, my heaters, and all that around the house. Plus, in every room, I've the best HEPA filter systems on high right now, so I can breathe. I have one on behind me right now, so I can breathe fresh air all the time. And I happen to have a car that has a HEPA filter system in it where it shows the outside air being 50 particles per million, blows my mind, and the interior being 2 or 3. So we have to be conscious of the war that's at scale with us and what we can do to fight the battle without a literal fight. Because I don't know if we can win on a global basis, but I know we can win ourselves, and we can treat ourselves and be healthy ourselves. So we're working on that. Yeah, chelation therapy. That's it. Chelation therapy. That's it. Thank you for that, Julie. Next question. I'm going to answer a couple more questions, guys. I'm going to do a Q&A on Thursday again. There's a lot of questions here. I'm going to ask that you pull your questions. I'll copy these, but also pull them out and send them in an email to me, kelby@hisadvocates.org, so we can light the engine up on Thursday again. Normally we do a Q&A on Mondays, and if there's a lot of questions, we'll do another Q&A on a Thursday. And my goal is just to be able to answer everybody's questions. Sometimes people will hear an answer and they need steps. That's a different scenario. Sometimes people need an answer for steps that are easily done within the Q&A, and we'll give you those. But a lot of times people are asking steps for questions that we don't have a product for. It's not like we're guaranteeing, like pulling a property out of the county recorder. I can tell you how to do it. I'm not going to give you a product for it or charge you for it. But as a licensed real estate broker and doing thousands of loan transactions, I know title and chain of title and deeds better than probably a lot of people. And so I can tell you how to do things. And if there's no contract, there's no contract. If there's no car to place a ticket on, there's no car to place a ticket on. Move the car, and that's all you're doing. Remember, these are voluntary agreements. And the only difference of a register and a recorder is the style of the deed and what they're able to do with it because of your abandonment of the property, like a child, so forth. So we really need to understand what we're doing and what we're contracting with. So I'm going to answer one more question, and if y'all can please take your questions and post them to kelby@hisadvocates.org. I'll be back on Thursday to finish them up. Tim asks, I was listening to your response to my question on the last Q&A. You were asking who was requiring us to get a business license. The answer is most of the farmer markets or public events like 4th or 4th of July festivals, county fairs, and those types of public gathering events on public land being held at locations that are owned by the county, for example, parks, pavilion spaces. I get it. I get it. Then he says, I already do have. So they're mandating you get a business license through the county in order to participate in the market. So they want you to have a license to sell goods and service to the public on county-owned land. Makes sense. It's not our land. It's not private. And you're dealing with the public because they basically own the land or space where the event is held. It's true. I already have an LLC I was using for my custom cabinetry business, and I thought I needed to dissolve it to get out. You don't need to dissolve it. You just need to change the style to which you contract, and you want to make an LLC shows you as the beneficial owner, and your name is on as the Secretary of State. So what you want to do is make the foundation the primary member of the LLC, and then make that happen on the Secretary of State board as well. And then you can use that LLC for your pavilion space at one of those events. It should be good. Should I just continue with my current LLC? Yes, yes. Put our candy business under it. That makes the LLC and the foundation partner. So when you're contracting with them at the county to get the space, you can contract with them at the LLC. And what I would do is I make the foundation the primary member of the LLC, and then I make invoices with the LLC name, and it just put wholly owned subsidiary of XYZ Foundation. And then the cash that you're taking in or the credit cards that you're using all be ran through the foundation. And the checks written out on the bottom of the invoice, just hand them a receipt, just say, hey, look, make the check or whatever payable to XYZ. And I don't know if you're taking checks or just cards and cash. But it all can be done through the foundation directly, and just the contracting work with the LLC, do that with the county to get the booth. I thought that was going to be a big long question. I'll answer a few more. Did you read my email about the attack on the ID of Stewards of Jesus? No, John, I didn't. My apologies. You can set up your own email service in-house if you have access to a commercial ISP connection. Actually, have my own web server. What's happening is they're hitting my IP as spam, which is blocking me on some servers like Gmail and different things like that. If you know a way around that, let me know. What do I need to do to transfer my land into the foundation? Just got to know the metes and bounds and get one of our deeds, Tim. Follow the instructions on it and record it. Tim, we've answered that so many times. The most important thing, Tim, is excuse me, is the deed. The deed handles ownership, control, private money, private vesting, dual signature, acceptance. You're selling, you're buying. There's nobody buying. There's no grantee accepted deeds anymore, and it's all by design. It's 4-footed, lost. It's crazy what they're trying to do. But if it didn't matter, they wouldn't try to do this. Meaning, if they could just rip people off and take their stuff, they wouldn't be going through all these designs to make sure that 6 ways on a deed you're screwed. So we've repaired the 6 ways they're trying to screw us on the deed, so that you're recording an instrument that is non-registerable. Recorder's office, registrar's office. A recordation is something that is just put into the public. A registered is something that's banked, where you are the collateral for, or the land is the collateral for, meaning birth certificate or deed. Anyway, Hope that helps. But bottom line is just fill it out. If you're a VIP member, Tim, all you got to do is post a copy of your deed. We'll tell you if it's good or not and go down and record it. Thank you, Terry. Got it. George Higgins. I've been working to open up a Kraken crypto account in the foundation, and we received a request from Kraken today. We understand foundation is a non-profit organization. Don't say it's not a non-profit. It is not. It's tax exempt. However, based on the information you previously required or provided, the structure and the activities described, donations, funding, project foundation setup appears to be similar to those to non-GMO and non-PPO. Can you please clarify the legal structure of your entity? Tax exempt, falls under, but is not 508c1a. Okay, just tell them you want a business account. That's it. They don't need to know all the variables. If they ask what kind of an organization this is, say it falls under, listen to my words, it is not. It falls under a 508c1a. That is a tax exempt organization, private foundation, church, etc. Additionally, kindly provide your insight on what specific products and or services do I offer. Anything I want. You provide them, and how do you procure your clients? What do you mean? We kindly ask that you share many details as soon as possible about your business model so we can better understand your business operates and how revenue is generated. Oh, is that what they are asking? Oh, I thought you were asking me. Sorry, George. Yeah, you just tell them the business that you do, George. You don't need to make it sound, look, feel. Just you're opening up a business account. It's an unregistered. You can call it a business trust, private foundation. It is not a business trust necessarily, but in essence, it could be construed as, because the grantor, there's a beneficial interest, Yeshua, and then there's the trustee, executive director. It looks like, smells like, but it is not. It's just named different. It's the same principle as a PMA or an association. We don't have an association of 150 people. We have an executive director, managing director, and we have a board. That's not necessarily an association. It's a church. Although it's unincorporated, doesn't mean that we can't be unincorporated and own land. I mean, we can do that all day long. And for every Supreme Court ruling that is out there, I'll show you something to the contrary that proves it otherwise. And then we got to look at the words in the wordplay: real estate versus land. And did it really say that, or did it say something else? Because everybody will always hear something of how a Supreme Court is worded, and it's not. Does not mean that at all. And so that's why they have to have the opinion of judges over Supreme Court rulings for interpretation purposes. Then it can be argued that and why that actually meant something else in 10 years, what it was really meant, or how it was really intended. It's just silliness. Just tell them what you do, how you earn money through that foundation, and let them try to determine. You don't come and say, I'm an unregistered private foundation. I'm an unregistered church. I'm an unregistered association. Don't say anything. I want a business account. Where are you registered? You mean where were we put together? California. The bottom line is their words are one thing, your words are another. And then they say, I need proof of incorporation. And you send them your docs. They see exactly what I don't have a sample copy, but they'll see that you've got a set of docs, unincorporated docs, and they're going to be like, oh, you're unincorporated, or they might not catch it and just give you an account. So guys, accounts open left and right all the time. Let's stop worrying about it. Let's just try to get it done as a business account, regular account, and then work through it. But give them a letter, George, and then post your letter to your ticket and let us review it for you, okay? The element of the property under Bob was addressed in the beginning part of this call, as I'm sure you heard, but you posted your question on 504. At the beginning part of the show, we addressed private unincorporated. Our foundation is purchasing property in Oregon. The title company says under Oregon law, an unincorporated organization cannot hold real property. That might be true. There are statutes that provide for a private membership organization cannot own real property. You are buying land as a private church. You're not an unincorporated association. So I don't think there's any law in Oregon, as I know a lot of property in Oregon has been recorded in a foundation name. I think it might be statutory, number one, and it might be number two, real estate. And so do me a favor. Hold on, Rebecca Lodge, 180 Hampstead, 169, which I've attached. The principal is an unincorporated organization, cannot own real property, is a general common law principle, which may be overridden by an applicable state law, typically a statute in Oregon. There is Supreme Court rulings, guys, that a private church can own land. Okay, does that sound more important to you than a statute? So, it's a tough one to answer. It's obviously a fight for you. So if it were me, I'd just put a really excellent letter together and just say you demand they record. And that's it. They are breaking law. If you did research on Supreme Court rulings for private churches being able to own land, you'd find them. And put a really good letter together around that saying, here's what the Supreme Court says, it's you're in violation. And here's what some state courts say that you're in violation. And this is not the style of entity. And I do not own real estate. This is land. Here's the style of the vesting. I'm not asking for a legal description. It is not real estate. I'm owning land. It's meets and bounds as a church in the private. And I am demanding a recordation. So the other thing to consider, Bob, is fine, close the tax account, transfer it into the foundation, and do not record it. And that's something I've been talking about for years now. And people are in limbo all over. If somebody's closed an account and nobody's there to open an account or take the ownership of the APN, then there's nobody that owns the APN. You can literally take your deed, put it into the public in another state somehow, some way, and then send the deed redacted to the local county saying, I'm the purchaser. I'm just letting you know, not for the purposes of recordation or registration. I'm just letting you know that this land is occupied. That's it. I do not wish to contract with you. That's it. They don't want to record? Fine. There's no law that requires you to record a deed. Go look up the definition of counter deed. Counter deed, Black's Law. This is a fight. This is not a 5 or 10 minute answer to you over a public broadcast, unfortunately, but because I don't see the letters they're sending and I don't have an opportunity to look at the Supreme Court rulings or the statutes that they're providing, and I am not in a position to just show you Supreme Court rulings off the cuff that say something different. We need to make a class on this eventually and show people really step by step what they would do if, and then give you some designed letters that would be designed. You got to understand something, Bob, and everywhere else and everybody else. I've got 48 states, 50 states that have recorded our deeds in the county recorder in a foundation name. I've got it. So a couple of you are having problems. Let's solve it. It's solvable. You're going to fight for it. Okay. You're going to fight for it. Freedom is worth fighting for. It really sucks because most people are so unintelligent that their bondage under the legal system is actually net positive. If most people could understand the subject matter, society would be in the state. It wouldn't be in the state that it is in the first place. It's terrible. I agree. Can I convey multiple rental properties, 10, from their land trust into the foundation into one private unrecorded deed document? Yes. You can make the beneficial interest of all those land trusts the foundation one way. You can't do 10 deeds into one deed. You can do 10 deeds into 10 deeds if you want to make the foundation. If your land trust mark is unrecorded, unregistered, okay, you've got a decent trust opportunity. I'd make the foundation the ownership interest of the trust. But Mark, if you haven't done our deed, you might as well do the deeds. our deeds are not just proper. John, I know I asked you what state. Can you remind me of the question again, real quick, please? I knew that was going to happen. I already deleted it. Oh, man, just about got it. How does an unregistered church make a claim in court otherwise? That's a good question. They can't be in church. And really only somebody with a pastor's position would even be able to stand and would have to make the argument that it would be a trustee of a trust indenture kind of a thing. We're actually working this out right now for um, two people, Bob. I'm very interested to see a lawful approach of dealing with this in church, but the whole goal is to be outside of court. The whole goal is to be bulletproof and not be able to be brought into court. So why do we want to take him into court? But if it were me, it's like we got to find case laws that have dealt with this. And this is why they are doing what they're doing in maybe Oregon and one other state, saying unincorporated private associations are not allowed to own real property in a particular state. Well, that might be true for real property, real estate, but it definitely is not true for land. Hearing me, the difference in how people fail to understand the word and wordplay, word slipping, whatever they call wordsmithing. There you go. We got to get better with it, but no, we're working on something, and I don't know the time frame on it, so please don't ask. But we're working on something that's not only going to be a presentation on the whole land element, but the Supreme Court rulings behind our ability to own land, and also the Supreme Court rulings about counter deeds, and we're going to get really into that. This is top level importance, but we had to get through a ton of stuff and still have to get through a ton of stuff. Knowledge base. We've been growing immensely in this last year. In this next several months, we're going to rock it off. It's going to be a lot of good things are happening. By the way, guys, throw this video to your family and friends right now. Tell them to subscribe. Take the text that we sent you. Say, hey, go watch this video. Please help us. We need more people to be understanding this movement. There's people with real answers all over the world, real answers, real information, and it's all on who you know as well. But you got to remember something. Even though we have the law on our side, it doesn't mean they don't try to break it all the time. Okay, I mean, law enforcement officers are stellar at knowing the law and breaking it all the time. All right, guys. I'm tired. My voice is crackling. I'm thirsty. Take down to balance your questions, please. Send it to me in an email. And I will see you on Thursday, 4 p.m. And God bless you, man. Have a great week. VIP members tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Motivational, inspirational stuff. I'm looking forward to always being with you guys. And it's not going to be all about one person tomorrow. It's going to be about the collective. So God bless you guys. Have a great week. And again, send me your questions for Thursday afternoon, Kelby at hisadvocates.org. If you haven't already, join His Advocates TV, download our app on your phone. Okay. Again, for the new people that are just jumping on, you can get our copy of the book for free. Just go to hisadvocates.org. You'll see some books on the right hand side. Click it and join for free, and you get to download our book. Then also we show you the living in the private diagram and how it goes, how it works for everybody right on our homepage. We're very open, upfront, full disclosure, the laws that support what we do and how we do it upfront before you've ever done anything on your end. And so you can do a lot of research on your end to validate and verify what we say is a fact in law. So God bless you guys.